Song Zheng joins me now for more on this subject. He's a chief correspondent at the Shanghai Wen Hui Daily's Washington, D.C. bureau. We saw what happened today in the Oval Office. I want to get your take of the announcements, the progress that they described, and if you've heard anything more from the Chinese side since that meeting.
I think Chinese side is also feeling a lot of progress has been made this time, especially I think this trade imbalance issue as one. Another is this structural reform issue from Chinese side also. I think that the two sides made very substantial progress on this issue. I think the only uncertainty for me is the so-called enforcement mechanism, which has been raised by the U.S. side only early this month. And I think the two sides still need time to find out what will be the way out for this issue.
Both sides seemed very optimistic. I want to get your take on the announcement on this soybeans deal that Vice Premier Liu He mentioned 5 million tons of U.S. soybeans. How significant is that?
I think that surprised the U.S. side very much, and also I think it's more than double the U.S. side was expecting, and also it reflects that China is needing a lot of U.S. soybeans. This is a kind of a mutual beneficial issue. I think this time is now a kind of highlight of this round of negotiation. That's good for the two countries.
Does it make the negotiation process moving forward a little bit easier? I mean, we saw these higher level talks in Washington the last 2 days. Does it set a precedent for what will happen?
I think that will make President Trump and this agriculture department to be happy. But for Mr. Lighthizer and Mr. Mnuchin, they're more concerned about this structure issue, about this IP issue, about this technology transfer issue, and which China is also willing to make a deal. And we can also see that even Lighthizer this time is showing optimism toward a final deal by the end of next month. And I think when the U.S. delegation will go to Beijing immediately after Chinese Lunar New Year, we can expect that there will be a deal.
Can we see a meeting between President Xi and President Trump? We saw some discussion about potentially nothing set in stone yet, but could we see that happen as well next month?
I think so, because we hear that President Trump might be going to Eastern Asia, probably Thailand or Vietnam, to meet North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. And I think it can be a very good choice. It can be a very good time if he can go to like Hainan Island, which is a beautiful island in South China Sea, to meet President Xi, to make it another like Malago summit between the two leaders. And I think that this news is a little bit surprising, but very much logic. I think two countries are having a lot of differences at this moment. So the two top leaders meeting will pave a way to stabilize the U.S.-China relationship.
I want to end on what President Trump said earlier. He said the relationship is very good between China and the United States. Some big news for China to wake up to later on this morning. Song Zheng, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.